Unwind. What is yours will come to you through the silent disintegration of the ego that insists it must have in order to be, not by the straining of muscles or the constriction of the mind. We've been trained to pursue, you see. We were rewarded for moving forward more quickly, as soon as we could crawl. However, we have lost something subtle and sacred in that never-ending quest, the art of being. Consider a river. It flows because it gives in to gravity's downward pull, rather than because it fights or pushes its way through dirt or stone. The current is trusted by the river. It never requests permission to flow from the mountain. It never rushes or cares about getting to the water. Nevertheless, it always does. Why do we believe that the things that are destined for us will only come if we resist the tide? Our perception of life as a negotiation is the problem. Perhaps life will grant us everything we want if we put in enough effort, demonstrate our value, and simply put in more effort. However, desire cannot be bought off. Anxious effort does not entice it to arrive. Stress or insomnia don't call it forth. You don't have to beg for what is rightfully yours. It just shows up when you're ready to accept it. Not when you're tight and domineering, but when you're relaxed and receptive. You might believe that being still is a sign of weakness, and that unwinding is a sign of surrender. However, this is only because people mistakenly believe that tension equates to strength. True power is silent. When you listen to life, instead of trying to impose it, real alignment occurs. When you start to realize that you are already dancing with the universe, not as its leader, but as a partner. Have you ever observed how life's most exquisite moments often appear out of the blue? A sunset that catches you off guard when you look out the window. A friend who calls just when you needed them. A chance opportunity. A quiet moment of clarity. A love that walks in when you finally stopped looking. These are not rewards for effort. They are gifts for presence. When you relax, you create space. And in that space, the universe speaks. It says, "Here, this is yours. It always has been." But you couldn't hear that voice while you were busy shouting your demands into the void. You couldn't see the sign when you were too focused on the map. You couldn't receive when your hands were clenched into fists. Let it go. Not as a performance, not as a trick to make things happen, but because holding on is exhausting. Let it go because you're tired, and because your soul is not meant to strive endlessly. Your soul is meant to trust, to breathe, to wait, like the soil waits for the rain. Not because it doubts, but because it knows. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing out. You are precisely where you are supposed to be, learning exactly what you are meant to learn. And the moment you stop chasing what isn't yours, you make room for what is. There's a rhythm to this existence, and it is not hurried. It unfolds in silence, in surrender, in the spaces between your plans. What if you stopped worrying about how it will happen? What if you believe that the life meant for you already exists in potential, just waiting for your readiness? Not your perfection, not your achievement, but your readiness. And readiness begins with rest, with peace, with the radical idea that maybe, just maybe, you don't have to force anything to find your place in the world. So take a breath, not because it will bring you what you want, but because you already have what you need. Take a breath, because in that breath, you return to yourself. And when you return to yourself, everything that belongs to you can finally find its way home. True power lies in stillness, not striving. We've been taught that effort is crucial, that the only way to achieve anything is to keep moving forward with unwavering vigor. From a young age, we are commended for being active, rewarded for accomplishing more, and encouraged when we push ourselves past the point of weariness. As a result, we absorb the notion that everything we desire, love, prosperity, and happiness, must be pursued, hunted, and captured. However, despite its loudness and persistence, that belief is not grounded in reality. Being motionless does not equate to weakness. Passivity is not what it is. It is the most subdued and unwavering form of strength. When you are still, you are no longer reacting to the noise of the world. You are no longer pulled in 1,000 directions by expectations, demands, and the illusion of urgency. You become centered, rooted in a deeper understanding that life is not a race, and you are not behind. In stillness, you begin to see what striving blinded you to. That many of the things you were chasing were never meant for you, and many of the things meant for you have been quietly waiting for you to slow down and notice. Imagine a tree. It doesn't rush to grow. It doesn't stretch its limbs in panic, or compete with the tree beside it. It grows in its own time, rooted in the earth, trusting the sun will rise and the rain will fall. And yet it becomes mighty, sheltering, full of life, not through hurry, but through harmony. We too are meant to grow that way. But we've been taught to reach and strain and force. And in that force, we lose the very essence of what it means to live in peace. You cannot chase your way into alignment. You cannot bully the universe into giving you what you want. What is truly meant for you will never require you to be anxious for it. It will never require you to sacrifice your peace for its pursuit. That doesn't mean we do nothing, but it means we act from a place of grounded intention, not desperation. It means we learn to listen before we leap, to pause before we press forward. As it means, we begin to trust that we are not the sole architects of our reality, but participants in a much deeper, more intelligent unfolding. Clarity appears in silence for a cause. There's a reason why inspiration frequently strikes while you're relaxing, walking, or sitting quietly, rather than while you're working. When the mind is still, it becomes a conduit for understanding. However, we obstruct its flow when we move, act, and think non-stop. We mistake progress for movement. We mistake fatigue for success. We miss life's constant gentle reminders, the soft indicators that this is the path. Courage is also necessary for stillness. Keeping occupied is much simpler than spending time alone. You encounter the truth in the quiet. Beneath the cacophony, you face your worries. The aspects of yourself that you have been ignoring are audible to you. It can also be uncomfortable. However, the change starts in that discomfort, because you start to remember who you were before the world told you who you should be when you stop avoiding yourself. For its Ebian flow, the ocean does not apologize. It is strong because it knows when to recede and when to rise, not because it crashes all the time. Knowing when to take a break has power. Making the decision to choose serenity over performance and quiet over cacophony is powerful. Being motionless is not the same as being still. It is the awareness that exists. It is the space where your energy gathers, your clarity sharpens, and your soul breathes. There are seasons for action, yes, but they are not every season. And in the same way that nature honors its cycles, we must learn to honor ours. You are not meant to bloom every moment of your life. There are times to grow, and times to wait, times to plant, and times to harvest. Striving blurs. It allows you to know the difference. Striving blurs it. You will find that when you stop pushing, things begin to move toward you, not because you gave up, but because you gave space. When you no longer grip life with the hands of fear, you find it gently folding itself into your lap. Tension disappears when you have faith that what is rightfully yours cannot be stolen from you. It is your nature, not your effort, that makes you magnetic. Those who live in harmony, not hostility, attract people, chances, and insights. Someone who has nothing to prove has a certain hallowed quality. Someone who understands that their value is independent of performance. Someone who is positive they are headed in the right direction, even when walking slowly. Calm like that spreads easily. That kind of tranquility is potent, and everything lovely grows from that kind of calm. One of the most misinterpreted aspects of personal strength is letting go of control. We frequently think that by holding on tight, controlling, anticipating, and planning, we are making sure that life complies with our wishes. We persuade ourselves that everything will collapse if we don't keep an eye on things. However, we overlook the fact that this persistent grabbing is not an indication of mastery. It's an indication of fear. It is the worry that life is untrustworthy. It is the conviction that nothing positive will occur until we carry everything on our backs. However, under pressure, life does not always go as planned. When we make room, it blossoms, and only when we let go and soften into trust will that space become available. The act of letting go has a profound, subdued wisdom. Resignation is not what it is. Passive defeat is not what it is. It is the readiness to give up things over which we have no control. Not because we've lost, but rather because we've finally realized that control is a myth. We suffer more the harder we cling. Imagine a clenched fist filled with water. The fingers can't hold it. It is difficult to capture. But when your hand is open, the water rests gently in your palm. Life is the same. It will not be held by force. It responds only to openness, to ease, to stillness. When you let go of control, you become receptive. And in that receptivity, you begin to feel the gentle current that was always beneath the noise. That current is always guiding, always moving, always taking you where you need to go. But it is quiet. It cannot be heard. When your mind is shouting, when your thoughts are racing, when your energy is frantic, to hear it, you must get quiet. To follow it, you must loosen your grip. To trust it, you must release the need to have every answer. Letting go is a kind of falling, but not into emptiness. It is a falling into trust, a trust that there is intelligence woven into the very fabric of existence, a belief that what is meant for you is already looking for you, a belief that you don't have to control or coerce events to follow your course. Life has the potential to surprise you once you give up attempting to control every aspect. And frequently, such shocks are superior to anything you could have created yourself. However, letting go involves being present. What is still enmeshed in your head is something you cannot let go of. Because of this, awareness is always the first step. Becoming conscious of how you are clinging. Do you have a timeline obsession? Are you attempting to persuade someone to change their mind? Are you clinging to a result that hasn't materialized? Take note of the tension. Take note of the nervousness. Observe how your breathing shortens, your body tenses, and your thoughts spin. That is the body's method of telling you that you don't trust at the moment. You're also closed off to receiving at that precise moment. Receiving doesn't take place under pressure. It takes place while you're relaxing. Your heart only opens when you feel secure, just as a flower only opens when the sun is warm and the weather is serene. You no longer need to beg for your blessings once you begin to embrace life instead of fight it. You don't have to force people to stay. You don't have to chase opportunities that require you to compromise your peace. What is aligned with your soul will arrive, not because you demand it, but because you are ready for it, and readiness is born from openness. When you let go of control, you give life a chance to show up for you in ways you could never imagine. The problem is we're often so focused on how something should happen that we completely miss the fact that it's already happening, just not in the way we pictured. Control narrows our vision. It traps us in fixed expectations. But openness expands our perception. It allows us to see possibilities where we once saw only obstacle. It allows us to notice beauty, synchronicity, guidance. Letting go is also about humility. It is the understanding that you are not supposed to bear the weight of the entire cosmos. It's the deep breath you take when you acknowledge that it's not entirely your responsibility. You contribute. Yes, you put forth work, integrity, and intention when you arrive, but you then let go of the results. You let things unfold as they will. And by doing this, you relieve yourself of the intolerable pressure to have everything go according to plan. When you give up attempting to be God, a grace comes into your life. You realize that the universe's innate wisdom was never against you when you let it develop without your intervention. It was simply waiting for you to move aside. Your soul may need something different from what you believe you need. And the only way to get what is really aligned is to submit. You make space for healing, magic, and flow when you release your hold. You make space for others to be authentic. Instead of diverting from your route, you make space for chances that suit it. You begin to move with life, not against it. And in that movement, there is peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from everything being perfect, but the kind that comes from not needing perfection to feel whole. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care so deeply that you refuse to strangle the thing you love. You trust it enough to breathe. You trust yourself enough to wait. You trust life enough to know that what is real doesn't need to be forced. What is true doesn't need to be chased. What is yours will come. Not because you tightened your hold, but because you opened your arms. Presence attracts more than pressure. It's a truth that sounds simple on the surface, but requires a complete shift in how we've been taught to approach life. Being present feels almost rebellious in a world that values productivity, urgency, and unrelenting desire. We are continuously persuaded that in order to achieve anything worthwhile, we must work hard, strive, and keep moving forward. However, if you truly look at life, you'll see something much deeper. The most profound encounters, life-changing events, and sincere relationships all occur when you're not attempting to coerce them. They emerge in presence, in openness, and in stillness. A genuinely present person is surrounded by a certain magnetic energy. It's not that loud, it's not desperate, doesn't require care. Nevertheless, people find it appealing. Opportunities discover it. It is surrounded by peace. You radiate a calm assurance that says, I don't need to chase what is meant for me, because I am here, fully here, and I trust that what aligns with me will arrive. That kind of intensity is uncommon. The majority of people are elsewhere, preoccupied with regrets from the past or anxieties about the future. Few people are genuinely rooted in the present. However, life truly takes place in the present. It is the source of clarity. This is the point at which direction becomes audible. Until the future materializes in the present, it is merely an idea. The only thing that gives the past any force is the meaning you continue to infuse it with. To genuinely perceive what is in front of you, you must lift the curtain of distraction in order to be present. And something remarkable happens in that observation. Life reacts. It reacts to how deeply you are, not how hard you strive. Consider a moment when you were genuinely in the present. Perhaps it was gazing at a sunset in the outdoors. Perhaps time vanished during a talk. It might have been holding a loved one. Were you trying at those times? Did you overthink things? No. You were just being. You felt complete in that being. It's not a coincidence. Alignment feels like that. Additionally, it cannot be obtained by performing, calculating, or hurrying. It can only be reached by being present. Conversely, pressure repels. Your energy is tightened by it. It gives everything a sense of urgency, fragility, and instability. Even if you don't say anything, others can sense it. An invisible wall is created when you are trying to control results, when you are obsessed with showing your value, or when you are yearning for approval. Even the very things you are attempting to attract are pushed away by that wall. Pressure may produce results, but they will be ephemeral, superficial, and frequently more draining than rewarding. Being present is not a passive state. It's not about doing nothing. It's about giving everything you're doing your all. When you're making anything, give it your all. If you're sleeping, do so guilt-free. When conversing, pay close attention. Your whole focus is what creates the enchantment of presence. And when you are totally present in the moment, that attention is potent. You have a more profound connection to life. Instead of moving against it, you move with it. You pick up on nuances that others overlook. Beneath the commotion, you can hear whispering. You'll discover that you begin to express yourself when you give up attempting to impress. Your actual self is revealed. Furthermore, that version of yourself is more appealing than any version you attempt to create. Your perfection is not necessary for the world. It requires your sincerity. Furthermore, presence is the birthplace of authenticity. You are magnetic because of that. It's what makes people want to be close to you, trust you, and feel comfortable around you. Since it is uncommon. What if your dreams aren't too far off in the future? What if you're too preoccupied to notice that they're quietly knocking on your door right now? What happens if the chance you're looking for already exists, but you're too preoccupied with making plans for the future to seize it? Being present lets you notice what striving prevents you from seeing. It makes you more aware of the gifts that are all around you. Frequently, those presents are precisely what you've been requesting. In actuality, stress is not how the cosmos functions. It uses resonance to function. It reacts to the vibration you convey, rather than the sound you produce. You are in tune with life when you are present. Your signal becomes more distinct. And because you matched it rather of chasing it, that signal attracts what aligns to you. The paradox of presence is that, without attempting, it achieves more. It doesn't need to push to move mountains, manifests without being grasped. Why, therefore, should we fear being here? Since it necessitates vulnerability. It entails throwing aside the shield of busyness and confronting reality. It entails experiencing all emotions, including happiness, suffering, doubt, and tranquility. And that might be too much to handle. However, it is also freeing, because you're no longer running when you're totally present. You're not hiding anymore. No longer are you somewhere else. You're here. And this is the start of healing. This is the return of power. This is where you meet life. Stop participating and performing if you want to draw in love, serenity, and purpose. Stay where your feet are. Inhale where your body is. Talk from your heart rather than your script. Being present is not a method. It's a return to who you are and the beat of the cosmos. And in that rhythm, everything flows not with pressure, but with grace. The relaxation is readiness for receiving. This may seem counterintuitive in a world where we are constantly told to push, to achieve, to conquer. The prevailing narrative suggests that success comes through effort, that we must struggle and strain in order to earn what we desire. Yet the paradox is that it is in our relaxation, in our ability to be at ease, that we become most open to receiving what life has to offer. Relaxation is not about giving up or doing nothing. It is about aligning with the natural flow of life, allowing things to come to you, rather than forcing them into being. When we relax, we allow ourselves to step out of the frantic energy of constant doing and into the powerful space of being. This is where true transformation begins. The mind is no longer clouded by worry, the body no longer gripped by tension, and the heart no longer burdened with the weight of expectation. In that calm, you create an opening space where abundance, opportunity, and clarity can enter. This is the space where miracles unfold. It's important to understand that relaxation is not a passive state. It's an active choice, a conscious decision to release control and trust that what is meant for you will find its way to you. This doesn't mean that you sit idle, waiting for things to happen. Rather, it means you take action from a place of calm confidence, from a state of readiness, rather than desperation. Desperation is frantic. It is energy that pushes away. It's the feeling that you must have something right now, or you will lose everything. You are unable to perceive what is in front of you when you are operating from this energy, because you are so preoccupied with the need for something. However, you become responsive when you unwind and release the strain and rush. You are prepared to receive in this openness. It's an art to receive. It necessitates trust, the knowledge that you are deserving of what is being presented, and the readiness to accept things as they come. Receiving is a challenge for many people. We are frequently taught that receiving is a sign of weakness, passivity, or undeservingness. However, this is untrue. Allowing oneself to be seen, nourished, and supported is a tremendous act of receiving. It is realizing that you don't have to fight for everything. Knowing when to give up and let life support you can sometimes be the greatest strength. You are rooted in the here and now when you are relaxed, and everything exists in this instant. The future is still developing, but the past is past. Now is the only moment that is genuinely real. When you are present, you are receptive to the gifts that are currently available to you. You are not longing for something that has already happened in the past. You're not anticipating or wishing for anything that hasn't happened yet. You're here, and you align yourself with what is best for you in this harness. You are able to receive the richness that pours to those who are prepared to welcome it, perceive opportunities that others might overlook, and sense the silent advice that others cannot hear. Many people devote their entire lives chasing after things, money, love, or success, thinking that they must always be on the go in order to achieve their goals. However, this way of thinking might make you feel worn out, depleted, and detached. Burnout, dissatisfaction, and the sense that you are ever one step away from what you really want might result from it. However, you can access a more profound source of energy when you unwind and break free from the doing loop. You become more aware of life's inherent rhythm. There is a connection between relaxation and readiness. Even if you have a strong desire for something, it won't arrive if you aren't receptive to it or genuinely prepared to receive it. It's possible that your expectations, anxieties, or thoughts are subtly obstructing it. The moment you relax, you shift your energy and you create space for what is meant for you to enter. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. If you chase it, it will fly away. But if you stand still, with your hands open, it will gently land on you. Relaxation is that stillness, that openness that allows you to receive without force. There is a natural rhythm to life, a flow that carries us from one moment to the next. We cannot control this flow, but we can choose to align with it. Relaxation is your invitation to let go of the need to control every aspect of your life, and instead to trust that the universe knows the way. It's about recognizing that life is not a series of obstacles to be overcome, but a series of opportunities to be embraced. When you are relaxed, you stop resisting life and start flowing with it. You stop pushing and start receiving. Relaxation is beautiful because it's an act of trust. It's a recognition that despite your inability to see the whole picture, everything is going according to plan. The basis for receiving is this confidence. You don't have to put in more effort, strive harder, or wear yourself out trying to get things done. Rather, all you have to do is have faith that the universe has already arranged everything for you, and everything will work out flawlessly when the moment is right. The place where everything is in harmony between effort and ease is called relaxation. It's not about doing less. It's about doing less from a place of tension and more from a place of flow. When you are relaxed, you're allowing the best of what you've been working toward to come to fruition without forcing it. You're creating the perfect conditions for growth, for opportunity, for everything you desire. In that space of relaxation, you begin to feel that everything is happening for you, not to you. You're not a passive recipient of life's events, but a conscious creator of your reality. And when you trust that everything is already unfolding in your favor, you're ready to receive all that life has in store for you. What is meant for you knows the way. This is not just a comforting idea. Beneath the cacophony of our daily struggles, there is a profound, silent truth. We frequently believe that we are in charge of making everything happen. We think that in order to get what we want, we have to pursue, control, and manage every variable. We worry about how, when, and whether we're doing enough to deserve anything for hours on end. In actuality, though, you don't have to wear yourself out in terror to find what is really meant for you. It doesn't require constant action, stress, or perfection. All it wants is that you align with it, have faith in it, and make room for it to come. It is already aware of your location. It's not gone. It is not perplexed. It's on its way to you already, guided by alignment rather than pressure. Life is intelligent on its own. It doesn't follow our strict timetables or hectic routines. When you are ready on the inside, as well as the outside, everything happens at the ideal moment. The way the universe functions has a sort of spiritual architecture. Your journey has already been braided with what is truly yours. The endpoint is always fixed, even though you might not always be able to see the path. It's not something you're making from scratch. All you're doing is connecting with what has always belonged to you. When you have faith that what is meant for you will find its way, you give up trying. You let go of things that don't belong to you, and you give up trying to capture what is not yours. That surrender is peaceful. You start to realize that if something is disappearing, it was never a part of your actual narrative. If a door closes, it's not because you failed. It's because something more aligned is ahead. Trusting the path doesn't mean you won't face setbacks or confusion. It means you believe that every detour has a purpose, that every delay is a part of the preparation, and that nothing meant for you can be withheld. Often we think that by pushing harder, we can make things happen faster. But speed isn't always a gift. Sometimes it is the stillness, the pause, the waiting that refines us. That waiting is not wasted. It is the space in which you are shaped into the version of yourself who can hold what is coming. Because what is meant for you isn't just about what you want. It's about what you're ready to carry. And readiness is not proven by urgency. It is revealed in trust, in presence, in quiet belief. The irony is that when we stop trying to chase what we think we need, we often find that what we truly need has been quietly approaching us all along. The right people, the right opportunities, the right moments. They don't come crashing in with noise. They appear subtly in alignment with your internal state. When you're calm, clear, and open, you notice them. When you're desperate, frantic, or overly attached, you miss them, even if they're right in front of you. Letting life bring you what is meant doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you stop doing everything out of fear. You take inspired action, not panicked motion. You show up each day with intention, not with anxiety. You tend to your own growth, your own clarity, your own healing, because that is how you meet what is meant for you. The version of your life that embodies that tranquility will be encountered by the version of you that has faith in the journey. It is not magical. Alignment is the cause. For what is supposed to be yours to come, you don't have to be more precious, flawless, or deserving. You are already. Growth may be the route to it. Yes, it might entail loss, discomfort, and change. But not because you're deficient, because you receive what is perfectly aligned through the process of being. It's how you create room in your life for what is genuine to land and remain. Your perspective completely shifts when you start to believe that the universe is waiting for you rather than withholding from you. There's a profound freedom in understanding that what is for you cannot miss you. It cannot be taken by someone else. It cannot be denied if it's meant for your soul. You don't need to fight others for it, nor do you need to prove yourself worthy of it. All you need to do is stop standing in your own way. Release the timelines, the doubts, the obsession with outcomes, and instead focus on being the clearest version of yourself. Honest, grounded, open. When you live from that place, you stop panicking when things don't go according to plan. When others go, you stop crumbling. You realize deep down that nothing genuine is ever lost, so you stop being afraid of the unknown. Delays or deviations cannot harm anything that is destined. It may not arrive when you anticipate, or in the manner you have envisioned, but it will because it knows where to look. It is drawn to your soul rather than your effort. What is already yours in spirit doesn't need to be pursued. It resembles a river that empties into the ocean. The rocks in the river's route don't bother it. It moves. It has a curvature. It adapts. However, the destination is never questioned. You are the same. You might not have a clear way. What is yours is not waiting at the end of the road, even if it may rise and fall, and twist, and turn. Every action you perform in trust is interwoven with it. In times of surrender, it greets you. It finds you when you soften, rather than when you strive. It's when you halt, not when you push, not when you chase, but when you just make room for it to come. And it always does. Not because you asked for it, but because it always knew how to.